NFL Christmas is a new thing. We've had the Thanksgiving games in the past. NFL Christmas is kind of new. It's only been a couple of years now. For Thanksgiving, I love the fact that they've always done like the retro jerseys. I wish they'd do that with the Christmas or do something as well. But you need like 18 streaming services if you want to watch the NFL on Christmas this year. You get 3 games happening, 2 on Netflix, 1 on Prime Video. Cowboys Commanders will start it off, and then you have 2 games that have playoff implications. I want to talk about them to wrap up this show on here on Marv and Rauh in the morning. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Bringing you this coverage every single day, bringing you this fun kind of sports content where we are talking about Bryce Young. We're talking about Kansas or Missouri, you name it. I mean, we're talking everything here. It's really a good time. But let's dig in. Let's talk about the Detroit Lions, Minnesota Vikings. The Lions are on the absolute cusp, like the lifeline. They are hanging on the edge about them potentially getting into the playoffs. I mean, they need the win out and they need some help, and they got to start with this game against Minnesota Vikings. It'll be done at 4:30 Eastern time on Netflix. JJ McCarthy will not play for the Minnesota Vikings. 8-7 Detroit. Jared Goff over 4,000 yards passing, Gibbs over 1,000 yards rushing. I mean, we've seen Hutchinson go with 11.5 sacks so far this season, who is his return after being out last season. Can they win this game, and is it enough for them to continue staying in the playoff hunt?
Yeah, I mean, they can win this game, absolutely. This Vikings team isn't super great, and to be honest, like, is there a lot of upside to them winning? I understand that the players on the field are never, going to tank for the next season because there's no guarantee that they're there next season. Like, they're doing something basically that's it doesn't help them at all. It actually only hurts them and their tape and their likelihood of getting onto a team next season. But looking at it from like the administrative level, obviously not administrators, but you get what I'm saying here. What does Minnesota gain from winning this game? Right there is no advantage to winning this game, and I do think that some of that will seep in here. I think that the divisional rivalry or whatever you want to call it matters, but like Minnesota on some points, like, got to look out for themselves, and Detroit's trying to win the game. This can be a win-win scenario. You win if you lose, and I win if I win type of thing. I think Detroit can win this game. I think they're also better than the Vikings, even if you want to look past the whole, like, doesn't matter if you win or not. Like, I do think the Lions are a better team here, even if it is only by 1 win technically. It's not the same team it was a few years ago. It's just not. But they're still legitimate. They're still in contention here towards the end of the season. And I think if they get hot at the right time, like, this is a very winnable game going into that Bears game to end the season, where they can, I don't know, do they need a lot of help? I actually don't know. You're the one that plays with the playoff predictor more than I do.
I play with it way too much. I mean, it's just like it's
I know you do. That's why I asked.
Too much. And they do need a lot of help. Basically, they need to win out, and they need the Packers to lose out. That's their only way in. The Lions have like a 4% chance of making the playoffs. Detroit has Minnesota this week, and then next week they take on the Bears. They have to win out there. And then the Vikings, the Packers have the Vikings the last week of the season, and then they have the Ravens. Maybe they lose to the Ravens. The Ravens are trying to make themselves in the playoffs as well. But you have to think that in the final week of the season, the Green Bay Packers lose to the Minnesota Vikings, a team you just said doesn't really have a lot to play for. So, I mean, that's the only possible way that that Detroit makes it. If you look at the NFC playoff picture right now, there's a lot of teams that have already clinched, if you look at it. And it's the only one that's left is the wild card spot at the very end. And it's either Green Bay or Detroit. And then the 4 seed, the only thing left is either Carolina or Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay actually has better odds over Carolina, even though Carolina just beat Tampa Bay. That's just how it rolls with looking at the rest of the schedule. But yeah, I don't feel good. If I'm a Detroit Lions fan, I don't feel good about making the playoffs, but you at least got to try.
Well, you shouldn't.
You at least got to go completely all out.
You shouldn't. And it's because the reason is it's unrelated entirely to what your team can do, or honestly what the Packers can do. The Packers are playing a team in the Ravens who refused to play Derrick Henry in the fourth quarter in a game that Derrick Henry is essentially going to win you that game. Like, that was just malpractice, bad coaching. So that was one of the instances that I
put Harbaugh on the hot seat like immediately.
I rarely will see things in games that I'm like, that's a weird decision. That's a bad coaching decision. Generally, it's clock management. I can usually identify clock management. This one, Okay, if you're going to go every other drive, because of maybe age, like, okay, I'm not going to fight you. But why was he out 2 straight drives? So, and I know this isn't a segment about the Ravens or that game in particular, but the Packers are directly tied to the Ravens. And so I thought that was worth bringing up. I don't know what the Ravens are doing. That is now, if you're a Lions fan, the most concerning part to me, not even the Vikings. I think the Vikings care because it's divisional. And the NFC North is one of those divisions that does still care about divisional games. The Ravens, I'm actually more scared of if I'm a Lions fan right now. The Lions, it's just unfortunate what happened, this season. They just weren't quite able to get the wins that they needed to. Looking at their schedule, I mean, it's just kind of unfortunate. So if they win this game, they'll need some help, and that's not the position you want to be in. But there's nothing stopping them from winning this game. I still think the Lions have a decent chance at winning out.
Yeah, most of the games that the Lions lost were one-score games, with the exception of the Packers game early in the season and the Chiefs game. I think every single rest of their games. They lost to the Vikings already this season, 27-24. They lost to the Eagles 16-9. They lost to the Packers the second time around, 31-24. Rams 41-34. I mean, and then Steelers 29-24. All of them, with the exception of those early games, they lost by 1 score. So, like, just a couple of those outcomes change it, and then you're in the playoffs. You're talking completely different here, even though you lost to the Packers twice. And the fact that you are still even in the playoff consideration against the Packers with you losing to them just shows that you had a lot better of a season than your record showing, for sure. Do you think that the Lions can win this game on Christmas Day against the Vikings and at least make it interesting for the final week of the season for some type of playoff conversation?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's I'd actually be shocked if the Vikings are able to win this game, but crazier things have happened. I would love to see the Ravens somehow beat the Packers and the Lions win, and then it comes down to, is that a Bears Packers or no? It was
Bears
Packers
Lions.
Vikings. Yeah, Bears Lions at the end of the season. The NFC North. That's, like I said, one of those divisions where it still feels like divisional games have like some grit to them. Like they still kind of hate each other. And I love that. So, yeah, I hope that's what happens. And I really do think that the Lions are capable of doing that. I think they're a much better team than the Vikings. That's why we haven't really done any breakdown on this game. Like, I just think they're kind of significantly better, especially with key pieces missing for the Vikings. But this is still the NFL, right? Still any given Sunday.